ABC iView.
Today, Australia weighs up a call to assist Iran's neighbouring countries as they come under renewed fire.
We have been asked and we will consider in accordance with those principles.
As the destruction in Iran continues, this inferno, the aftermath of a strike on an oil depot. Three teenagers charged with the murder of a Good Samaritan near a train station in Melbourne. NT residents assess the damage from major flooding after the Catherine River peaked overnight. And racing fans head to Albert Park for the start of the Formula One season in Melbourne. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs. The federal government is considering a request for military assistance from Gulf states that have been targeted by Iranian drone and missile attacks as the war enters its second week. Foreign Minister Penny Wong told the ABC's Insiders programme that a request for assistance has been received and is being considered by the federal government. Let's bring in our political reporter, Sarah Tomevska. Hi, Sarah. So what can you tell us about this request?
Good afternoon, Ros. Well, the Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, did confirm that a request has been received for defensive military support from Gulf states amid ongoing Iranian drone and missile strikes, which we know have targeted not only US military bases, but also civilian infrastructure like airports and oil facilities. The two questions, who made the request and what support might look like, are a little bit unclear. The Foreign Minister did not specify which Gulf state had contacted the government, though we do know the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister have been in talks with their Emirati counterparts this week, and the UAE government is paying for stranded Australians hotel accommodation in Abu Dhabi. The question of the scope, what support might look like if the government does make a decision to send help, is also a little bit unclear. We have heard from one defence expert, Malcolm Davis from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, who really outlined the fact that Australia's drone capabilities, counter-drone capabilities rather, are quite limited. We do have a short-range surface-to-air missile system known as NASAMS, but that requires a small group of personnel, soldiers, to be deployed alongside it in order to be effective. At this stage, the Foreign Minister has very much only revealed that a request has been made and is being considered by the government. Penny Wong was adamant that Australia would not be engaged in any military, direct military engagement with Iran, and there will be no boots on the ground deployed in Iran.
Many countries which are non-participants have been attacked by Iran through this. You would anticipate as a consequence that we have been asked for assistance, and we will work through that carefully in accordance with our...
This is interesting. Assistance to protect them against Iran's drone and missile attacks?
Correct, and we will work through that in accordance with the position I have outlined, which is we are not participating in offensive action against Iran, and we've made clear we would not participate in any ground troop deployment into Iran.
Okay, so this is interesting. Australia may play a role militarily in helping protect neighbouring Gulf countries from Iran's actions.
We have been asked and we will consider in accordance with those principles.
Now, we have heard from the federal opposition, which says it's requested a briefing on the situation and any potential deployment of ADF personnel to the Middle East. The Shadow Defence Minister, James Paterson, though broadly supportive in a statement he put out a short while ago. He said Australia has a proud record of standing with our allies and friends in times of crisis, and the coalition will carefully consider any deployment proposals once briefed.
Sarah, Penny Wong was also asked about whether Australia supported US-imposed regime change in Iran. What did she say on that?
Yeah, that's right, Ros. So this comes, of course, in the context of Donald Trump's statements that he wants to be personally involved in selecting Iran's next leader. His stated objectives or end goal of these strikes has been shifting on an almost day-to-day basis. The initial proposed outcome of regime change now seems to be more a change in regime, that is, in stating a leader more amenable to US interests. Penny Wong didn't directly comment on that, only reiterated Australia's position that the future governance of Iran should be a matter for the Iranian people. She was also asked again about Australia's position on the legality of these US-Israeli strikes. A week ago, international legal experts have been unanimous in their assessment that the strikes were a clear breach of international law. We heard from Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, who was here in Parliament earlier this week. He said Canada's support isn't a blank cheque to the United States, conceding that the strikes were likely illegal. So the Foreign Minister said that questions of the legality were a matter for the US and Israel to explain and address, though she did add that Australia would have preferred if UN Security Council approval had been sought.
Sarah, thank you. New pictures have been coming in showing the continued destruction inside Iran from US and Israeli strikes. This is footage taken by an Iranian journalist and verified by the ABC. It's taken from the Artesh Highway and was posted online within the last 24 hours. The facility engulfed in flames is an oil depot on the outskirts of Tehran. Let's get more on those strikes in the Arabian Gulf now. Countries across the region have been hit with some of the biggest barrages since the start of the war, despite Iran's president declaring it would stop attacking its neighbours. Iran's leader Masoud Pezeshkian took to Iranian state television to apologise for its offensive on Gulf countries and promised that Iran would no longer wage attacks against them unless they do so first. The president also affirmed Iran would never surrender, one day after President Donald Trump said only unconditional surrender would end hostilities.
We didn't intend to violate neighbouring countries' territory. As I've said many times, they are our brothers. We stand with the ones we love in the region. The decision was communicated to the armed forces that from now on, they should not attack neighbouring countries or fire missiles unless those countries attack us. I think we should resolve this through diplomacy and avoid disputes and disagreements with neighbouring countries.
But even as the apology was issued, Iran continued to launch a wave of drone and missile attacks, with explosions heard in Dubai and dozens of drones intercepted in Qatar, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, visited the wounded in a hospital in Abu Dhabi who were injured in Iran's recent attacks. The UAE leader issued a message of assurance, telling media his nation would not be easy prey.
The UAE has thick skin and bitter flesh. We are no easy prey. We will carry out our duty towards our country, our people and our residents who are also part of our family.
Well, for more, we're joined by Gus McLaughlin, who's a highly accomplished leader with a 37-year career in the Australian Army, culminating in the rank of Major General. Welcome to you, Gus McLaughlin. So what's your reaction to the request for help from the Gulf states and then the Australian government's consideration of that request?
Yeah, g'day, Ros. Look, I'm not surprised. We have been a beneficiary for decades of basing there in the UAE. I myself have flown in and out of there a number of times and been, the recipient of their hospitality. Part of the agreement for that basing is that there will be consideration of mutual defence. So I think, we didn't expect this war, but I think we should anticipate that this request was coming. The Emiratis, by the fourth day of the conflict, so you could probably double these numbers now, but something like 200 ballistic missile strikes and 900 drone strikes in the first 4 days. I think their stocks of munitions that can defend against those, the Patriot missile, the Theatre high altitude missile, will be running low. And so I think the call out to Australia is not unexpected.
So Foreign Minister Penny Wong says Australia won't participate in any offensive action against Iran. So the military assistance that is being considered would be weapons. Is that what you're saying?
Ros, I think the most likely capability that will be sought after will be our airborne early warning and control aircraft, the wedge-tail aircraft. It is amongst the best of its type in the world. We've done, I think, 3 rotations into Europe to support the attacks on Ukraine, or to monitor the similar attacks on Ukraine. We have highly skilled crews and they have the ability, frankly, to deconflict an airspace that will be incredibly complex. We will have attacks coming in from Israel, the United States, and then we will have the incoming threats from both drones and missiles. Australia has the crews capable of providing the sort of insights you need about what's happening above the airspace. I guess at a more extreme end, we could also deploy some of our fighter jets, the F-35 or the F-18, with the purpose of knocking down particularly those Shahed drones. But I think the most likely one are those wedge-tail aircraft with their Air Force crews, which are highly capable.
So what would be some of the considerations that the government will be working through in deciding whether or not to say yes to their request?
Yeah, well, a little bit like the example we've seen with those submarine crews. It's very hard for crews just to get off a submarine when it transitions from normal operations into attack mode. If you put an airborne early warning and control aircraft in the airspace above these countries, it will be very difficult for it to operate without being involved in the traffic deconfliction of Allied jets moving toward Iran, in order that we can understand what the incoming threat situation is like. Now, is that contributing to the offensive strikes? I don't think it is, but I think it will be that sort of detail that the government will want resolved before they put our crews up in the airspace above this conflict.
Iran's president has apologised to neighbouring countries for its offensive against them, and yet its missiles and drones continue to target sites in Gulf Arab states. What's Iran's strategy here in your view, Gus?
Look, I think the Iranians have a strategy, and I think it's important to understand the agency of these countries that are being attacked. They are not going to just roll over. This is a regime that has been brutally determined to remain in place. My assessment is they are trying to broaden the war. The more complex and the wider the war is, the more people President Trump will have to placate or maintain contact with and confidence with. We've heard that countries like Kuwait and the Emirates are running low on the stocks of defensive missiles. What that means is Mr. Trump may have to start to shorten the offensive these missiles at bay. So I think this is a strategy to make it complex. I think it's working so far, except the fact that every day the number of missiles they manage to get out through this net is reducing.
Apologies for that brief interruption there. Gus, and finally, do you see any of the Gulf states retaliating against Iran? There are reports that Riyadh has told Iran that continued strikes on Saudi Arabia and its energy sector could push it to respond in kind, and there were those comments that we heard from the UAE about not being easy prey.
Yeah, my assessment, Ros, is that the Saudi Arabians are really the only country that would meaningfully be able to contribute. I think it's unlikely at this stage that they will be needed. So if they did contribute, it might be, and I use this term carefully, a performative intervention to show their disposition towards Iran. But I think the weight of combat power that the Americans now have in particular means that it's really not necessary. I think, frankly, they're running out of targets. The Americans have cleared the air defence over Iran, and they are now able to move their more conventional jets like the B-52 with its enormous payload. So they will be dominating the skies over Iran. I don't think anybody else's missiles will make a meaningful difference.
Gus McLaughlin, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Tributes are flowing for 22-year-old Aidan Becker, who was allegedly killed while trying to break up an attempted robbery at a Melbourne train station on Friday night. Reporter Costa Haratos joins us now from Melbourne. Hi, Costa. So what have people had to say about this young man?
Good afternoon, Ros. Well, floral tributes continue to grow for 22-year-old Aidan Becker following that tragic incident on Friday night. Friends that knew Mr Becker have come today, laid bunches of flowers, put down cards and candles to remember his life that was tragically cut short. One of his friends told us this morning that he was a man filled with compassion, a true good Samaritan who always went out of his way to look out for others. And that's exactly what's been echoed around the community, Ros. Police have also described Mr Becker as a good Samaritan and a hero. Now, this incident unfolded on Friday evening just before 6 o'clock when Mr Becker, an off-duty security guard, was on his way out of the station concourse and he saw a group of 4 teenagers allegedly targeting a 14-year-old schoolboy. They were allegedly trying to rob that 14-year-old schoolboy. That's when Mr Becker stepped in and tried to break up the incident, and that's when the group of 4 teenagers allegedly targeted Mr Becker with a machete. He was stabbed outside the station concourse and sadly could not be revived and passed away here. And tributes are really flowing now from all sections of the local community, but also at political levels as well. This happened just outside the local MP's office. Now, those 4 teenagers have all been arrested. 3 have been charged with Mr Becker's murder. They range from 16 right through to 18, and that 18-year-old man faced the Melbourne Magistrates Court this morning. He was remanded in custody and will appear in court at a later date. Police say those 4 teenagers were all known to them at the time of Friday's alleged attack. They're not looking for anyone else, but their investigation does continue as the community, Ros, begins to piece together a tragic incident at their local train station.
Costa, thank you. Emergency flood warnings remain in place for Katherine, Nidmaluk and Daly River in the Northern Territory as the worst floods in more than 2 decades inundate the communities. Major flooding is expected to continue throughout the day in Katherine after floodwaters peaked near 19.2 metres overnight. The deluge has seen hundreds of residents and the Katherine Hospital evacuated, with homes and buildings surrounded by water and inundated on the ground floor.
Look, we are currently seeing major flooding across multiple catchments. That includes the Daly River catchment, Katherine River catchment, with moderate flooding for the Waterhouse River catchment. So the impacts of the flooding are really still in the thick of it, I guess you'd say, as those flood levels are still above the major flood level at a number of locations. We are starting to see the Katherine River coming down at a number of locations along that river catchment, but further showers and storms are on the forecast. So we could see those river levels pushing back up a little bit before they come down more determinedly. In terms of the Daly River, we're seeing a really gradual increase in those river levels there. It's unlikely we'll see a peak for some days.
Owner of Katherine Farmstay, Michael Shepherd, has had his property entirely flooded and is fearing for his livestock. I spoke with him a short time ago from his property.
Well, at the moment, our house is on a little island. It's not underwater. The water is going down, which is good. But we have got quite a number of animals in the hundreds. We've got a few of them around our house here. Some of them we're not sure where they are. Hopefully they're okay. But it does look like the water is starting to go down. I just hope the rain stays away now and it continues to fall.
So is that the Katherine River behind you there, Michael? It's burst its banks?
That's off the Katherine River. The Katherine River is actually on the opposite side of us. And we're actually flooding more from inland, so it's broken its banks upstream and it's flooding from inland back towards the river.
So that would be dry land behind you, would it?
Normally dry land. I don't know, in the corner you can maybe see a little bit of tin you can see over there. That's actually a horse shelter.
Right.
And that's just the tin of the roof left. So it's 2 metres underwater right now.
So you have real concerns for the animals that are missing right now?
I have a lot of concerns, I do. I just hope the water gets down and we can start to get back through there and check on everything and make sure everything's okay.
What was it like when the water level started rising?
We were running around in nearly our waist-deep water, rescuing animals, moving animals. It was very scary. It was a tough time. but I do believe there's a lot of people a lot worse off than us. So I guess we're just grateful that our house is still out of the water. I think nearly everyone else's house in our street's underwater. So we have got some dry land, and we've been able to save a lot of things. And I just hope everything else is okay.
Such a tough time. In the house right now, you've got you, your family, and how many animals?
There's 5 emus walking around our house. There's around 20 goats in our backyard. There's turkeys, there's chickens, there's dogs. We got birds. I've got sugar gliders that we rescued last night. They're inside our house. We've got a little crocodile out of a pen that's inside our house because that pen's no longer there. So there's lots of things happening.
Wow. And how are the kids doing?
Tough. Holding up. They've got the ladder at the back of the house in case they need to get on the roof. But hopefully that does not have to happen.
That's a worry, is it? That more rain will fall and the water levels will go
It is a big worry.
high?
We've had a lot of the rain's eased up for now, but I don't know if you can see the sky behind us. It's definitely dark out there. And if we get another 80 mil of rain, we won't be in our house. We'll be on our roof trying to get rescued by someone.
How isolated are you there then, Michael?
I can't see anything else around me. I'm surrounded by water. So the only way in and out's by boat. We have got a little boat next to us, but I'm not even sure the boat motor is big enough to get us away from the house. So we'd have to hope SES could help us.
Were you able to stock up on essential supplies? You have enough food there, do you?
We do have a bit of food. Obviously, we're a bit of a farm out here as well, so we do have stuff. We are lucky. We still actually do have power in our house for now, so we are lucky for that, and we've prepared a little bit for it. Yeah. We're expecting it to happen, so we were prepared as much as we could.
So you had time to get those essentials in ahead of the rain starting?
We did, but we're normally fairly well prepared anyway. We normally stock up for a week or two of supplies at any one time. So we are a little bit prepared for supplies, but I know a lot of other people were unable. I know that Woolies was closed and no one was expecting it, so a lot of people have a lot less than we do. If there's any way we could help anyone, we would. As soon as this water goes down, I'm sure there's people worse off than us. Make sure our animals are okay and then make sure everyone else is. And if anyone needs help, we're definitely there to help them. The community, I'm sure, will come together and everyone will help everyone that needs it.
Michael, we can hear the emotion in your voice and see it on your face. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us at this really challenging time, and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for being with us.
No worries. Thank you, Da.
Let's get the sport headlines now. Here's Daniela in Tilly.
George Russell will start from pole position at the Australian Grand Prix, leading a dominant Mercedes front row as the new era of Formula One gets underway. Russell was almost 3/10 faster than teammate Kimi Antonelli, who bounced back after a huge crash. Red Bull rookie Isaac Hadjar completed the top 3, while hometown hero Oscar Piastri will start from 5th. Four-time world champion Max Verstappen sensationally crashed out on his first lap, condemning his Red Bull to 20th on the starting grid. The Western Bulldogs have snatched a 5-point win over reigning two-time AFL Premier Brisbane in their opening round clash at the Gabba. Skipper Marcus Bontempelli booted 3 goals for the visitors, while Charlie Cameron kicked 4 for the hosts. But the Lions surrendered a 26-point lead in the third term as the Dogs kicked 7 final quarter goals in the 16-15 111 to 15-16 106 win. Canberra has won its opening round NRL clash against Manly in a thrilling Golden Point extra time win at Brookvale Oval. In a seesawing clash, Xavier Savage scored a double for the visitors, while former Raider Jamal Fogarty slotted a penalty goal to send the game into extra time. Raiders halfback Ethan Sanders kicked a long-range field goal in the opening set of extra time to snatch the 29-28 win for the Green Machine. The Matildas are preparing for a crucial Women's Asian Cup pool match against South Korea in Sydney tonight. Australia must win to secure top spot and an easier passage through the knockout stage, but it will be without winger Hayley Raso, who's been sidelined after suffering concussion in the win over Iran. The Matildas are aiming to avenge their quarter-final defeat to the South Koreans at the 2022 Asian Cup. Premier League clubs Arsenal, Manchester City and Chelsea are through to the FA Cup quarter-finals. The Gunners overcame a spirited Mansfield Town to win 2-1 away from home. Ibe Eze came off the bench to score the winner in the 66th minute. City, meanwhile, came from behind to beat Newcastle 3-1, a second-half double to Omar Mamouche, sending Pep Guardiola's side to the last 8. Wrexham was denied a fairy tale going down to Chelsea in extra time, with Hollywood owners Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney watching on. The Welsh outfit hit the front early before an own goal, late red card and VAR wreaked havoc for the Red Dragons. Goals from Alejandro Garnacho and Joao Pedro in extra time, sealing a dramatic victory for the 8-time winner. Sydney FC and Melbourne Victory have played out a 2-2 draw in their A-League men's Big Blue clash at the Sydney Football Stadium. Goals to Spanish World Cup winner Juan Mata and Charles Naduka had Victory up early before the hosts hit back with 2 goals in as many minutes to secure a point. Sydney remains third on the table with 33 points, while Victory is 4 points back in 5th spot. Australia is on the brink of victory against India heading into day 3 of the women's day-night test at the WACA. Elise Perry and Annabelle Sutherland marked their names in history. Perry made 76, passing Karen Rolton's total of 1,002 test runs to become Australia's highest run scorer in women's tests. 24-year-old Sutherland then made her 3rd century in 3 test innings to become the first Australian woman to score 4 test centuries. The pair helped the hosts to a first innings of 323 and lead of 125. The ACT Brumbies' unbeaten start to the Super Rugby Pacific season has ended with a dramatic 34-31 loss to the Queensland Reds. The match in Canberra was delayed by 85 minutes due to lightning, and the Brumbies took an 11-point lead late in the match. But the Reds scored 2 quick tries, with Carter Gordon sealing the winner after the siren. Despite the loss, the Brumbies remain on top of the table with a 3-1 record. Meanwhile, the Western Force fell short of back-to-back wins in New Zealand, going down 39-31. The Perth Wildcats have secured a semi-final berth in the NBL with an 18-point comeback win over Melbourne United in Perth. The 95-77 victory earned the Wildcats a spot in the best-of-3-game series against the Kings, starting in Sydney on Wednesday. Joloa Ochul Jr. starred for Perth with 28 points, while Christian Doolittle finished with 24.
Let's check the weather in the capitals now. Brisbane, rain with heavy falls possible. Showers for Sydney, Canberra and Hobart, a cloudy day. Melbourne and Perth, partly cloudy. Sunny in Adelaide and showers with a chance of a storm in Darwin. There's more on the ABC News app and on ABC iView. I'm Ros Childs. Thank you for your company.
Our corner of the world is full of stories that deserve a home. And that home is here on 612 ABC Radio Brisbane.
Craig Zonka and Loretta Ryan here. Wake up with us to know what's happening in and around Brisbane.
I'm about to chat to someone who died in 2023.